It says off air, but I pushed. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leonor Jimenez, and I work here at EON Reality in business development. And I just want to take a moment to welcome you to our exclusive webinar in AI-powered XR and enterprise. Now, in just a few moments, I'll introduce you to the rest of the team, but we'll begin with our very own president, Mr. Mats Johansson.
Thank you, Leonor. Pleasure to meet everyone. As Leonor mentioned, I'm president co-founder of EON Reality. So I've been working with XR for most of my career. And I must say, we are at a very exciting juncture where we have finally overcome the hurdle of getting access to content and good quality content for training and education. And we're going to take you on a little journey today and show you how you can do that using your own materials, documentation, etc. So I really look forward to sharing that with you and see how we can impact your enterprise. We'll also talk a little bit about how other companies in a few select verticals are using this. But the other exciting thing today is that you can apply this to almost anything with the advent of soft skills, role play training, and not just hard skills, learning about equipment, etc. So again, excited to be here, and I'll hand over back to you, Leonor.
Hello. So now I'd like to take a moment to introduce Mr. Frank. Frank, could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for the introduction, Leonor. This is Frank Botdorf. I'm with EON. Been with EON for almost, I think, 14 years now. Have been really excited, as Matt said, in more recent days with the advent of a lot of the newer capabilities that we have available has really transformed what we can do. But I'm based in the Atlanta area and focus on the East Coast of the U.S., and we'll be happy to take on further discussions if you would like, but we'll turn it back over to Leonor for now.
Hello again. So now I'd like to take a moment to introduce Mr. Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos, if you could please introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you, Leonor, and happy to meet everyone. I'm Juan Carlos Lopez. I'm part of the EON Reality team for Latin America. Over the last 2 years, I have been interacting with different organizations, both corporate as also university institutions and many other governments, in order to bring this technology to our territories in the Caribbean, Latin America. So considering the whole experience that the company has, as also all these new engagements with technology, I consider this will be a really great webinar today. So looking forward for this. And just a small brief, quien habla español y necesita que entender esta tecnología. La idea es que este es el primer seminario de varios que vamos a tener y los próximos también tendremos unas sesiones en español. Entonces, este lo haremos en inglés, pero considero que van a aprender mucho. So thank you for that, and just bringing out that we are a global company, we are in different territories, and I'm bringing in the Spanish into here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Juan Carlos. Thanks, Leonor. Thanks, Frank. And hopefully toward the end here, as we've gone through this, the team will jump in here to answer any questions, etc. So let's dive in. The first thing I'd like to talk a little bit about is, before we actually look at how this works, it's a little bit how enterprise uses this today. And as I mentioned in my introduction, it's changed a little bit. We see both what we call soft skills and hard skills today. Soft skills, you can think of a role play, like a virtual role play. Hard skills, you can think of like the workers there looking at an engine or a piece of equipment. But we see deployments in leadership development, technical training, safety training, compliance, customer service, diversity, and inclusion. This is not a complete list. There are more application areas for sure, but these are kind of the highlights. And as you see here, there are some areas that maybe when you think about XR, maybe you don't think about them directly. So without further ado, we're going to start with a demonstration. And as I mentioned, we have really in recent years, months, overcome this challenge with access to content. And let me bring up my other window here. And we're going to start with a simple example just to show how this works. This is our portal on the desktop that you see here. I'm logged in on my own account. I have my own.
I just sorry to interrupt you, but I'm not seeing your screen. I don't know about the other folks.
You're not seeing your screen. Did you see the slides?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe it was just me.
Let me do it again here, just to be safe.
There we go. Yep.
Okay.
Now I'm good.
Okay. Very good. So this is the interface on the desktop, and each user will have their own organization. So right now I'm in our demonstration library, XR library. I have my own workspace where I have my specific content that I've been working on. And I can choose to publish this, keep it private, share it externally, share it just within my organization, etc. So there's a whole structure here. Now, how do you create? Historically, creation of XR content was very complicated. You had to have a whole team, artists, project managers, animators, coders, all that. That's not the case anymore. I can actually go in and use the course catalog example, okay? And there's a couple of different ways to do this. I'm going to start with something we call train AI, and I'm going to show you, we're going to do one pretty simple example, and then we're going to do one a little bit more complex. So this is a PDF document about a checklist for pre-flight for a Cessna. So a small airplane, right? We've all been in an airplane. We know the pilot, they're checking things before they take off just to be safe. So this is a 8-page document, not very complicated, but we're going to start with that. And if I go in here to my creation, I've already uploaded this one. It's called C152 checklist. So I'm uploading this, and our system helps to analyze this document. Once it's analyzed, we can push the button and start to create one piece of content or multiple pieces of content if you want to. So here we see it selected 5 areas: normal operating, emergency, pre-flight, icing, landing, right? So I can create all of these, or I can select one. I've already created these, so we save a little bit of time for the demo, but I'll do one here just so you see how it works. So here we have the generation of the experience now. And here we can see, okay, it's named this normal operating. It describes what this lesson covers, standard operating procedures, pre-flight takeoff, etc. And it's a hard skill. If I press a button here now, it will start to create this. And I can look at my history here. So it's kind of processing this in the background. And by the way, I can create 1 or 50 lessons. It doesn't matter. Maybe I'll take a cup of coffee if I do 50, but you can create as many as you want. Now, as I mentioned, I've already done this one. So I have a playlist here, actually. So here we see these 5, emergency, normal operating, you kind of recognize them, right? Landing techniques. If I bring up, let's do this one, normal operating. I'll bring it up on my desktop first, and then I'll bring it up on my phone, and then I'll bring it up on my headset. One of the things that's really beautiful today is that you don't have to kind of tweak things for different devices.
Normal operating procedures.
So here's the desktop.
Next, I will explain to you about cockpit instrumentation panel.
Okay. So if you look at the very top here, once it's done processing here, we'll see that there are 4 areas of the learning experience. There's instruction,
operating procedures.
there's interaction between me as a student and the expert. There's assessment, and then it presents how did I do. So right now we're in the theory phase, and it's going through here, you know, the different important areas that we should know about.
Comes to life.
I'm going to pretend I'm an expert. We might spend 10 minutes just doing the theory, but we're on time for that today.
Do you have any questions?
So now I go to the interaction with the expert here. So I'm going to ask one question. So, and it even suggests some questions here. Can you tell me a little bit more about post-flight inspections? That's a new area for me, just so I got it right. So you do this through voice, a lot of the interaction. I'll show you more complex 3D models. This was created with no human intervention.
Post-flight inspection.
I can, if I didn't like the instrumentation panel, exchange that. I can create my own and kind of edit the experience.
This process involves a thorough examination of both the exterior and interior of the aircraft, checking for any damage.
Okay. So we'll move on here now. So the interaction can also be adaptive. So if the tutor asked me a question and I couldn't answer it, it will simplify a little bit and go back in the learning experience. Now we'll go to the assessment, and there's a couple of different types of assessment. Very simple, multiple quizzes.
What is the primary purpose of normal operating procedures, NOP, in a workplace?
Okay, so I say ensure safety. So that was a simple one. We have one that's much more dynamic. And this is where you're going to see this example of different questions. And I will see if I'm not a pilot, by the way, so just in full disclosure.
Let's start with an easy question about normal operating procedures.
And here starts with an easy question just to set the bar.
What is the purpose of a pre-flight inspection?
Okay. The purpose of the pre-flight inspection is to make sure that everything in the aircraft is working, is safe, that everything is stowed properly, so we don't have any surprises once we get up in the air. So we'll see what he thought about that. Okay, so that was pretty much it.
Great job. Now, let's move on to a slightly more challenging question.
So now it moves on and it ups
During
the
engine start procedure,
the difficulty level. Now, normally, I would go through and do many different things here. There were multiple assessments, but I'm going to finish. Maybe we'll do this one too, just so you see the other example.
Start Jeopardy challenge.
So this is something called Jeopardy. And here it hides the theory areas.
Situations during flight.
Emergency procedures. Okay, so I paid attention. I knew that one. If I didn't know,
what are the set of
I can ask what it was, but this will be reflected in my assessment,
power plant to prepare for taxi,
or I can ask for a hint. Okay. Once I'm done, I'll end this, and we'll go to the. I guess I gotta finish this one.
Start Jeopardy challenge. Go to the object ID.
And once I'm done, I'll get my assessment results. Of course, they will be poor here because I didn't do everything. I went through this pretty quickly. Once it's done analyzing this, we'll see. Okay, so here you see you have this.
This is your overview chart and your score.
Star chart.
Score, 28%.
Okay, there's a summary. There's a more detailed report.
Here's your detailed report
that I can go into. Let me pull up my phone just to show you how this would work on a mobile device. The reality is that maybe 95% of our use cases use a mobile device or a tablet. But of course, if you have a headset, you can use that as well and have more immersion. So let me close this one. We'll exit and go back to my phone. And I'm going to open EON-XR, which is an app. And we'll look at how it looks here on the phone experience for the student. Okay, so this is my library. I'll go to my workspace. And I have quite a few things here. So maybe I have to do a search. Here we go. Came up very quickly. I'll do the same one just so you can see the difference. So I didn't mention this, but you can also do a multi-user meeting. So I can share this code. I can invite students, colleagues to join. I can edit if I didn't like anything in the experience. We won't talk too much about that today, but that's an option. Or I can just do the learning experience. So we'll do it as an individual student. And now we're going to see it. This is in XR, but it's going to put me into an appropriate space here. So it's putting me into a cockpit.
Explain to you about cockpit instrumentation panel.
So you get a little bit more immersion on your mobile device. Here we have the instrumentation, and you'll see we have the same type of learning experience. You know, the 4 steps: instruction, interaction with the teacher, assessment, and then presenting the results.
A thorough pre-flight inspection.
Okay.
Ensures the airplane.
I'm going to go ahead and exit and show you a little bit. There's a couple of more things that are created here. One thing that's pretty useful is what we call the AI report. So this contains in a PDF or a Word document everything that's included in the XR experience, right? So here we can see course objectives, sample syllabus, learning objectives. We'll have all our quizzes, everything in a text format. We can also, in the lesson, if I go back here, see how the students did. So let me go back here, and then I'm going to go down. And if you have so this one, there was a new one, no updates, but you can access this either via the app or via a learning management system if you have one. Let me exit the phone really quick here. And then I'm going to share my headset here. And there we go. So you can see it in a couple of different modalities. So let me turn on my headset. This will take a second here. This is a Meta Quest headset, and we support other ones like Pico, etc. As well. You basically download the XR app, and I'm going to share it on my screen here in a second. It just takes a moment to get set up. So here we go. And let me do the sharing so you can see what's going on a little bit. You won't be able to hear the sound, but it's very similar to how you saw here a moment ago. Let me just make sure it's casting. Okay. So you can see that, Leonor, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go to the XR app. Of course, now I have my controllers. And we'll show maybe the same one that we had here. And then we'll look at something a little bit more complex. So I'll go to my workspace again. And here we can see normal operating procedures. Let's do this one, I think. Okay, so I'm getting the voice instruction here. And here I have my tutor, I have my model. I can also click and get more information on any of these if I want. Okay. And I have my assessments, everything that you saw before, just in a little different modality. Okay, so let me do one that's a little bit more complex here. So I'll do one for oil and gas. This is something called lockout tagout procedure. So here we see we have a more complex 3D model. We got a piping system going on here. I'm getting instructions on how to do this. I can see the different valves. There's a little bit different type of assessment here. So these are the things that he's speaking to me now that you see here. One of the things we have here is we have something called 3D playback. So here, an expert, which is indicated by the hand here, has recorded and explains different procedures here for me. Okay. I think we will put that to the side. So you've seen a couple of different modalities here. Let me go back to my presentation. Actually, one more thing. We were going to do a little bit more complex one also. So let's do that. The Cessna example was fairly simple. So I'm going to use a different document. And again, the idea here is that you use your own documents. This is a document on fire safety in manufacturing, and it's about 100 pages. It's much more detailed and has a lot more information in the document than the short Cessna example that we saw. So here, it will take this. Okay, so here we see it's analyzed, and it has selected 10 courses for me. So fire safety for turbine buildings, fire protection, storage, etc. And now I can say, create all these courses for me, or create one. And once I've done that, which I did ahead of time here just to save a little bit of time, I can go to this playlist and have the experience around fire safety. Okay. So this is important, and that's why we started with this today, that you can actually custom create any content almost instantly that you need. And we're going to show some other examples here, but with that, let me just give you a little bit of background now when you've seen the technology and a little bit how you can use it. So EON has been around for 20 plus years. We have a lot of experience in this market. We have been working with a self-service platform for the last 5 years, and we've done that building up in education as well as in industry or enterprise. We're very focused on knowledge transfer. That's all we do, training and education. And we have some large deployments. We have about 2.8 million licenses of our SaaS platform out in the market. The largest implementation to date is close to 60,000 students. So we've been able to scale this up in a way that we really couldn't do before. Now, you might know, why use XR, right? You probably know why, but I just want to briefly talk about it. So this is a study that was done by PwC, and let's hear what they have to say.
We have conducted a study on virtual reality learning. We found learners in VR required less time to learn. They had higher emotional connection to the content, higher confidence, and were less distracted during the training.
And we've seen exactly this same ourselves when we've done studies together with clients. A few of them published in education especially. You can learn faster. You can build more confidence. Think of this a little bit like a pilot practicing in a flight simulator before you go out and fly the real airplane. Of course, you build more confidence. But now we can do it for a nurse or a technician or a customer service person. You also create this better emotional connection with the content. You have to participate. It's kind of gamified learning in a way. So unless you do something, nothing happens. So it kind of captures you. And it's much more focused for e-learning than traditional e-learning methods like videos or meetings or PDF documents, which is pretty dull. So it works both in the classroom and it works in the kind of e-learning, which we know enterprise use quite a bit. As I mentioned, with this approach, we've been able to remove some crucial bottlenecks that prevented organizations to scale prior. It was too costly to develop the content, too time consuming. There was too limited content. It was tough to connect the dots between your process, whatever training area you were in. We relied on specialized hardware. Today, we use off-the-shelf hardware. You have access to any content that you want instantly. So we've really overcome these bottlenecks. Now, for industry, we talk about something, learn, train, and perform. So learn mode, you're learning the theory. Train, you're applying this and getting evaluated. Perform is when you take this out into the real world. I haven't shown that yet, but let's look at these three so you can put it in context. Let's start with learn.
Welcome to the learn phase of our simple approach. Learning is all about absorbing knowledge through interactive 3D environments. Imagine taking a book and converting it into a fully immersive 3D experience. In this environment, you'll have an avatar to guide and assist you throughout the learning process. Let's look at an example of how this works. We'll demonstrate a mechanical installation process. Follow these detailed steps. Mounting of the forced ventilation. Screw the two elbows onto the housing of the drive. As you can see, the 3D environment allows you to visualize each step clearly, making complex processes easier to understand and remember. This immersive learning approach helps you grasp concepts more effectively than traditional methods. Right?
So it's a little bit like you saw with the Cessna example and the fire training. This one will be a little different now. So now we're going to go and look at a soft skills example so you can see that as well. So think about this: leadership training, customer service, those type of areas where you have human-to-human interaction. So let's take a look.
Welcome to the train phase. Now that you've learned the concepts, it's time to practice and sharpen your skills. Training involves practicing both hard and soft skills in realistic simulations. Let's look at an example of how this works. We'll simulate a job recruitment interview to practice soft skills. First, we build the virtual environment. In this case, it's an office setting for the interview. You'll interact with an avatar representing the job candidate. Let's start the interview.
Please explain a little bit about your conflict resolution experience.
Certainly. Throughout my career, I have actively resolved conflicts in various professional settings. I have a strong ability to understand different perspectives.
During the interview, the system analyzes your performance and provides a score. Here in this example, 70%, along with feedback and reports to highlight your strengths.
Okay. You can, of course, customize these avatars and not just the appearance, but also their background. Is this a, logistics manager with 10 years experience, college education, etc. So you can really go in and also set up how they interact, how they train your workers. Final step is perform, and now we're going to go out in the real world.
Perform. This is where you apply your learning and training in the real world. But don't worry, you're not alone in this process. In the perform phase, we use augmented reality and virtual reality to support you in real-world situations. Here's how it works. First, in this example, we set up the augmented reality environment in your physical space. An avatar will appear in your real world, ready to guide and assist you. This avatar will show and tell you what to do, step by step. It's like having an expert by your side, helping you apply what you've learned and practiced. The beauty of this approach is that you don't have to remember every single detail.
Instead, you focus on understanding the overall concept, while the avatar helps you with the specifics. This AR-assisted performance ensures that you can confidently apply your skills in real-world situations, bridging the gap between training and actual performance.
Okay.
Remember, our approach is simple but effective.
So now we've seen learn, train, perform. This is something good to remember. You can do this in the virtual world, you can connect it to the real world, you can create digital twins, etc. So there's a lot of more things you can do, but I think that gives you a good overview. We work with a lot of different businesses in many different segments. We have selected a couple here just to share, but let me talk briefly about our platform. So I've mentioned EON-XR, which is our self-service platform. This consists of a couple of different modules. One is the no-code creation. We have, as I mentioned, a digital twin. We have spatial meetings. We have Metaverse Builder if you want to build much more complex worlds, and we'll see some examples of that. And we have Interact. Maybe you want to create a step-by-step procedure simulation. Maybe you want to do a 3D recording of an expert and assess your students. So you can do a lot more than we've shown so far here. And then you have EON AI, which is the sister product. And this is used to help speed up the creation. You can create individual lessons with a simple prompt. You can upload your own documents with Train AI or AI Reddy if you have a whole course catalog. You want to create maybe 100 courses, not just 10 or 1 like we saw. IntelliScan helps you connect to the real world, and Roleplay helps you create the soft skills experience. So they work together, and here we see some examples, both in education, enterprise, and consumer. Our focus is enterprise here today, so let's start with, I'm going to cover 4 segments, energy, aerospace, healthcare, and customer service, hospitality. And again, you can, of course, go outside these industries, but let's start with energy. So here's one example from a dynamic assessment with an oil and gas plant. So this is a little bit more complex. So 3-phase separator, where you separate
three-phase separation is a
oil and water and other liquids.
From the production stream. The process begins at the inlet, where the mixed fluid enters the separator vessel.
So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Sorry, pushed too soon there.
Let's move on to a slightly more challenging question. Can you explain?
So now we see this interaction
diverter
and dynamic assessment.
Three-phase separator.
The inlet diverter's role is to make sure that the input inlet of the crude oils is spread throughout the vessel, and it helps the separation process to begin.
So that was a complex question. It sounds like the student knows this, so the system will then adapt a little bit.
So we have here the part 10104.
So this is a little bit more in-depth, where you have a recording skills simulator, and you have to replicate the steps that's gone through here. And here we see kind of the headset experience that we already shared. Okay, so that's one example. Let's do another one. And here we're looking a little bit at how to create the content. And this is for gas absorption. So here they have an operating manual for this specific area. Pretty complex document. It's uploaded and also used as a training document. So this is very important. Maybe I didn't mention this. You have 2 options. You can use public domain information, or you can use your own information to train or build the experiences. And that's what most of our enterprise users do, to putting guardrails on the creation process, so to speak. So here we see the resulting experiences, and then we can go in and and enjoy these, as we saw before as well. Here's another example collected from what we just saw on the creation. And remember, the system selects the 3D models, selects the theory based on your documents, selects the assessment, and then if I wanted to, I can go back and edit and update these, any detail in the experience.
In managing these processes. The rich Maya is then heated in a heat exchanger. It moves to the regenerator using an absorption.
And here they had 3 learning portals, as we call it. Okay. And then finally, this is a real life experience in the facility. So kind of the perform portion of this.
The sour gas entry.
So this is a real piece of equipment. They have connected the virtual information to this. And you have this guided experience in the real facility here, including assessment, etc. So lots of applications in oil and gas. And here's another example from a real facility. This one is a little bit more what we call a digital twin. So here the user, when they created this, scanned with their mobile device this piece of equipment and created the overlays. So you basically create a replica of your real piece of equipment. Okay, let's switch gears. As I mentioned, there's a lot of different application areas. So one is hospitality. And this is something that was, even though you have hard skills in hospitality, facility management, equipment, etc., a lot of it is centered around soft skills. And I had the pleasure to join Sandals in their kickoff last year, together with the CEO, Adam here, and Dr. Luz Longsworth, who is leading their corporate university. They have 26,000 employees, and they've done a big deployment with EON Reality. So let's listen in to Dr. Longsworth, what she has to say. You turn up the volume here a little bit. Okay, maybe my video is a little bit slow here. Let me see if I can fast forward a little bit. Okay. Let me explain a little bit instead, since it seems like we have the slow connection there. So Sandals, as I mentioned, they've done a big deployment with EON. They're in their 2nd year now, and a lot of what they do is training using their replicas of their existing resorts. Multiple languages is important. I know Juan Carlos talked a little bit about this initially with the Spanish introduction. EON supports about 40 different languages, so that's something that's very easy. They recruit a lot of people from Haiti, for instance, but also other parts of the Caribbean and South America as well. So kind of a broad range of applications. Customer interaction, how to handle a disgruntled customer, how to work on different equipment, safety for kitchens, food safety, etc. So lots of different applications. Let's move to the next one. And this is an aerospace example. We've been working through our Singapore office with the Changi Airport in Singapore for a number of years. And they did a study where they looked at the EON-XR versus some of their traditional learning tools. They use something called AVIS, and they compared these side by side. And you can see here a little bit, this is just a summary, but the overall score for EON-XR, more than twice as high. They were able to use EON-XRs on tablets and mobile phones, which was a challenge with the other platform. And this is something we see with enterprise that they really like, that it connects to your existing devices. And if you're lucky to have a headset, you can use that as well, of course. Learning time was shortened. And in the tester group, the overall success rate was very, very good. So this is just one recent study they've done, and they've done a lot of different applications. And this is, you know, in terms of how they use it, HR, so different training for employees. Fire safety is another big application area, but at the end, you can apply this in lots of different fields. Last but not least, one of our favorite customers. I'm based in Southern California, and Children's Hospital of Orange County is based there as well. We've been working with them for over 4 years, developing applications in our platform. And they use it to train their staff, but they also use it to communicate with patients or parents in this case. So let's listen in to the head of cardiology here at CHOC.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Marti. I am the Chief of Cardiology at Children's Hospital of Orange County.
I'm Ramin. I'm one of the third-year pediatric residents at CHOC.
We wanted to talk about the process of creating our 3D heart modules that we use for patient education. We started off in our clinic, and sometimes what we use for parents is a drawing that explains what the normal heart looks like, and then we make changes in order to describe to our patients and our families the congenital heart problems that they're dealing with. About 1.5 years ago, we were able to meet with EON Reality, and they gave us a presentation on the ability to make 3D learning modules for our patients and for students. And so we decided to work with them, and that's where Ramin came in and worked with the team to create these learning modules.
Yeah, so about once a week, we would have little check-in sessions where kind of from scratch.
In the way that the heart actually looks and kind of the exact spot where we wanted the abnormality to be. I remember working with the team one day, and behind the heart and the abnormality, which is nice because I know that the information is being relayed in the way that I relay it anyway, every day.
With the paper presentations and just on drawing out the heart and explaining the lesion. So it overall really had good response for the parents.
Okay. As I mentioned, these are just 4 different examples from different industries, but you can apply this in virtually any type of industry today. Before we go to questions and answers, just to summarize a little bit, maybe some of the reasons to join us in our quest for XR knowledge transfer, spatial AI. We feel that customers that embrace this approach can overcome challenges of things like company culture. How do you communicate company culture? This is a very engaging way to do that. We all know that you can do beautiful training, but if your employees don't buy into the company culture, that becomes much more difficult or almost impossible. You can clearly measure the impact of training, so you get all the statistics in the back end and connect it with employee performance. So you have all that information there, more data. You can conduct surveys and assessments, of course, and analyze this. You can build out case studies, testimonials, a little bit like Sandal said done. We'll make sure to share the links since it was a little slow there on the connection. And you can highlight how you align the training programs with business goals more clearly. You have this very dynamic and flexible creation. So as your business goals change, which we know will happen, products change, environment change, you can quickly adapt to that and align your training programs, which historically has been a big challenge. So with all the assets that we have that you can tap into, you can customize this. If you have your own, I mentioned a PDF document, but maybe I should mention this as well. For industry customers, you can also import your own 3D assets, right? So we accept a lot of industry formats, CAD formats, etc. So you can build on your own data. We know that's important. You can also import your own 360 assets or create them like we did in the aerospace experience using artificial intelligence as well. So with that, I think we are going to see if we have any questions, and I'll let my colleagues jump in here as well. So Leonor, do we have any questions so far?
So I'd like to say thank you for that wonderful presentation, Mats. And there is one question. So what does something like this cost? Okay,
good question. So we have a software as a service business model, and the cost for enterprise is $124 per user and month, but we also have packages. So usually you use this in a department or maybe a whole enterprise, and then we have significant discounts, co-investments. There's also a model for enterprise where you have tens of thousands of consumers of the content, but you have a few creators. So we can offer kind of a tiered business model there. But I think the most important thing, and I'll let my colleagues jump in too, is that if you look at the overall cost, I remember sitting down with ExxonMobil a few years ago before we had this platform, and we had just created one learning experience in the old services model where you had to give it to a team and interview the subject matter expert. And I think they had spent $60,000 creating one. It was a compressor cleaning application. And they had literally thousands of procedures like that they needed to do. So that's a big difference. That cost is literally zero today. And that's where you can get the big ROI. So I don't know, Juan Carlos or Frank, if you want to add something.
Yeah, maybe what I will add that is a very interesting feature that EON has is that the capacity to edit whatever has been created can give you the chance of updating any process, any procedure, or any action that at the end will give you the chance to keep everything updated up to the term or up to the form, up to the regulation. And that change or transformation will really don't need any specific expertise. So the leader on the area or the activity that is being edited will be the one that can actually transfer that in very easy steps.
I'll pull up an example here. I think we have time for that. So this is the one we created based on the simple PDF document. And I open this now in edit mode, just to echo what Juan Carlos mentioned.
Hi, Mats Johansson. You're in edit mode for normal operating procedures.
So I'll do just some simple things. Maybe I didn't like this 3D model, right?
AI guide.
I want to replace it with something different, or maybe import my own. I just click. The system here will update. So maybe I'll change this description. I'll say Cessna. instead. And we see here, okay, so maybe I like the red one best. I'll do that one. And you can see here now it's downloading, replacing this asset, okay? Maybe I didn't like the narration. So let's do this one. So here I can just edit and you know, adjust anything. Maybe I didn't like how the assessment was done. I want to create my own much more complex assessment. Maybe I want to do a procedural assessment where you do step 1, 2, 3, 4. I can do that here. So it's all kind of a click and point environment. We have online classes. You learn this in an hour or two, and you can get off and build your own. So that's a good point, Juan Carlos, for sure. I saw we had one more question here. So I don't know if Frank, if you want to jump in on this one. It's basically, why now? Why get engaged in this now?
Yeah, I think, you know, you've gone over quite a bit of functionality and features, and a lot of the newer features are really what's exciting me and why I think it's the now part of that question. You know, being able to have dynamic learning, or other words called adaptive learning, where we can actually have the AI assistant kind of customize the path of the training for the trainee or the employee. I mean, that's huge, being able to really get down to their level wherever they are and then, you know, kind of bring them along. That's a big piece of it. The ability to create content so quickly, as Matt shared with you earlier, by just feeding the system a PDF document or an outline of your current course that you train, and being able to really quickly, and when I say quickly, we're talking, you know, literally minutes, create an immersive experience. And then probably the other last final one would be soft skills. You know, that is traditionally VR and AR technology has been really our sweet spot's really been on, you know, the hard skills training, where it's a piece of equipment you're trying to learn, maybe the startup procedures or safety procedure aspects of a piece of equipment. But now we can actually have, you know, you interact, the employee or the trainee can interact with an AI assistant, whether it's for professional development or customer service, as Matt has described. So, you know, those are probably the three most exciting things that I've seen in my tenure here at EON for, you know, over 14 years now. So, and I think that really answers the now, why now question.
Okay. Thank you, Frank.
Maybe add, sorry, Matt, yep. I will maybe add that the personalization, you know, the capacity to actually bring up to speed the different levels of knowledge on your employees, the capacity that the AI gives you in order to have that Socratic dialogue, and all these functionalities give you a good sense of, let's say, tailoring the content to each one of the individuals that you have in the company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing, so the dialogue, the assessment will adapt to the learner's knowledge, like Juan Carlos showed. Another thing you can do, if we do, let me type a simple prompt here. So I'll do jet engine repair. Instead of creating just one lesson, I can say create 5 experiences with increased difficulty. We talked about languages here before, right? So I know we have people from different parts of the world. So let's do this one in Spanish. So it actually helps me translate my prompt even there. If I hit create, it will now build, you know, from easy to difficult, 5 different experiences. So here we can see, you know, basic engines up to you know, much more complex types of skills. So you can really adapt this to your you know, do you have an introductory learner? Do you have an expert learning, just learning a new procedure? So absolutely, that's a good point. I see one more question. I think we have time for one more. So we'll see who wants to jump on this. What are the most difficult aspects of deploying something like this, or the biggest challenges, maybe? Any thoughts there, guys?
I mean, I can maybe jump in initially. I think, in deploying any new technology, there's always a learning curve, but we have really focused on making it simple. And sure, every software company on the planet is going to say their software is simple, but you've seen by the demonstration how easy it is to create the content. We've made it available to be able to be deployed. A lot of times when we say deploy, there's a lot of factors in there, but being able to integrate into an LMS system is huge, so that you can have a single sign-on, so that you're not having to jump through 2 or 3 different logins. You'll be able to just log into one system and then be able to launch the experience from there. So these are some of the things that are kind of behind the scenes sometimes that really make things a lot easier for the deployment. And I don't know if anybody else has thoughts, but that would be my initial stab at it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, Frank. Maybe I'll throw one more in there. So one thing we offer for enterprise is to do a 2-month limited trial. There's a little bit of investment connected with this, but what we do there is that we help to, maybe we take 3 departments and we help to create. You've seen how easy it is, but we help to create the content. We try it with the employees. And one thing we see with that approach is that you get a lot of buy-in, both from maybe department heads, but also from employees, because now they've seen this, they've tried it, they know it works, they want more. Maybe that's something I've seen historically that's been one of the challenges is, I have too many things on my plate already. Here's a new thing. It's going to add to my workload. That's not the case. It's actually going to simplify life for you, but overcoming kind of those human challenges, I think that's something we've seen, and we've developed this, what we call pilot program, 2 months, specifically to help overcome these. So excellent. I know we're running up on time. So I'll put my contact details here on the screen. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can also reach out to Leonor, who did the invitation, and connect with any one of my colleagues as well. So I'd like to thank you for joining, and look forward to starting an XR journey together with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mats.
Thank you.
Good to see everyone. Thank you. Bye.